First Contact Deception. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of Lunar Base Alpha, watching Earth's clouds swirl beneath her while maintaining the carefully crafted illusion of a primitive space station. Behind her, holographic projectors made the Advanced Command Center appear as nothing more than a collection of crude aluminum panels and basic life support systems. The deception had been maintained for over 50 years, ever since humanity first detected the Nexari probe entering the solar system. "Admiral, the Nexari fleet has just emerged from FTL at the edge of the Kuiper Belt," reported Captain James Rodriguez, his dark eyes fixed on displays that appeared to be simple radar screens but were actually quantum-linked sensor arrays. "Right on schedule." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Nexari Empire, with their silicon-based biology and crystalline technology, had been studying Earth for decades, watching humanity's apparently slow progression into space. They had observed the clumsy chemical rockets, the primitive International Space Station, and the struggling Mars colony, all elaborate props in humanity's greatest performance. "Status of Operation Looking Glass?" Sarah asked, turning to face the command center proper, where dozens of officers maintained their stations with practiced precision. "All systems nominal," responded Dr. Maya Patel, the operations chief scientist. Her hands danced across what appeared to be an old keyboard but was actually interfacing with quantum computers hidden throughout the solar system. "The sensor network is feeding them exactly what they expect to see, a civilization barely capable of reaching Mars." In reality, humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel 30 years ago. Hidden bases existed throughout the solar system, concealed by technology that made them appear as nothing more than asteroid clusters or spatial anomalies. The entire solar system was wrapped in a web of quantum sensors and defensive systems that could be activated at a moment's notice. "They're launching their standard first contact package," Captain Rodriguez announced. "Long-range scans show it's their typical intimidation fleet, 100 ships, mostly destroyers with a few capital ships for show." Sarah nodded, having studied the Nexari's first contact protocols extensively. The silicon-based empire had a predictable pattern: appear with overwhelming force, demand submission, and integrate the new species into their hierarchy as a client race. They had done it dozens of times across their sector of the galaxy. "Begin Phase 2, Sarah ordered. Throughout the solar system, carefully hidden quantum transmitters adjusted their signals, allowing the Nexari to detect just enough to believe they were uncovering secrets on their own. They would find evidence of primitive attempts at fusion power, early experiments with gravity manipulation, and other technological breadcrumbs that would convince them Earth was ripe for conquest. "Admiral," Maya called out, her voice carrying a note of amusement, "they're scanning Mars Colony Beta. The holographic generators are working perfectly, they're seeing exactly what we want them to see." The Mars colony was perhaps humanity's greatest deception. While the Nexari observed what appeared to be a struggling settlement of a few hundred people living in basic habitats, the reality was a thriving underground civilization of millions, protected by energy shields and quantum camouflage. "Signal from the Nexari flagship," Rodriguez reported. "They're requesting communication on standard radio frequencies." Sarah straightened her uniform, deliberately designed to look somewhat primitive but professional. "Right on time. Remember everyone, we're about to give the performance of our lives. Make them believe we're exactly what they expect, a young species about to learn its place in the galaxy." As her crew prepared for first contact, Sarah reflected on the decades of preparation that had led to this moment. Humanity had chosen this path not out of fear, but out of wisdom. They had watched the Nexari's expansion through long-range quantum observers, learning their tactics, their technology, and most importantly, their weaknesses. "Open the channel," Sarah commanded, her voice steady. "Let's welcome our guests exactly as they expect us to." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the crystalline form of Nexari High Commander Vextal, his translucent body refracting light in patterns that their xenobiologists had learned to read as expressions of supreme confidence and mild contempt. "People of Earth," the alien began, its translated voice echoing through the command center, "We come representing the greater galactic community." Sarah maintained a carefully crafted expression of awe and slight fear, while behind her, humanity's real fleet waited in quantum-shielded docks, ready to reveal the truth that would shatter the Nexary Empire's millennia of unchallenged expansion. The game was about to begin, and humanity held all the cards. The real first contact was about to begin, and it would be nothing like what the Nexary expected. The unveiling. High Commander Vextal's crystalline form pulsed with patterns of satisfaction as he concluded his standard first contact speech. The human leader before him, Admiral Chen, she had introduced herself, was responding exactly as expected, with the appropriate mix of awe, respect, and barely concealed fear. Everything was proceeding according to protocol. Until it wasn't. "We appreciate your generous offer to join the galactic community," Admiral Chen said, her demeanor suddenly shifting from cautious to confident. "However, I believe there's been a misunderstanding about humanity's place in it." Vextal's surface rippled with confusion. This wasn't in the standard response pattern. Before he could respond, his tactical officer's urgent communication resonated through their crystalline network. "High Commander. Multiple anomalies detected throughout the system. Energy signatures, impossible readings." The primitive human command center around Admiral Chen shimmered and dissolved, revealing a highly advanced facility that hummed with power. The simple displays transformed into holographic interfaces far more sophisticated than anything in the Nexary fleet. "You see, High Commander," Chen continued, a slight smile playing at her lips, "we've been expecting you. In fact, we've been preparing for this meeting for quite some time." Across the solar system, humanity's carefully maintained illusion fell away. The struggling Mars colony vanished, revealing sprawling cities protected by energy shields that made Nexary technology look primitive by comparison. Hidden installations emerged from within asteroids, their quantum sensors and defensive arrays already locked onto every ship in the Nexary fleet. "Impossible," Vextal whispered, his crystalline form clouding with disbelief. "Our observations, the technological progression we monitored, were exactly what we wanted you to see," interjected Dr. Maya Patel, stepping forward. "Your empire's pattern of expansion made you predictable. We knew you were coming, High Commander. We've known for 50 years. The tactical displays on Vextal's flagship erupted with warnings as new signatures appeared throughout the system. From quantum-shielded docks around Jupiter and Saturn, the real human fleet emerged. Sleek vessels of impossible configurations moved with a grace that defied known physics, taking up strategic positions that had been planned and practiced for decades. "Your empire's greatest weakness," Admiral Chen explained, "is your certainty in your own superiority. You never considered that a younger species might surpass you while maintaining the illusion of primitivism." Vextal's tactical officer's voice trembled through their network. "High Commander, they're ships, they're using technological principles we don't understand. Their power signatures don't match anything in our database." "Perhaps a demonstration is in order," Chen suggested. She nodded to Captain Rodriguez, who entered a simple command into his console. Throughout the solar system, quantum field generators activated. The Nexary fleet found their faster-than-light drives suddenly inoperable, their weapon systems offline. They weren't disabled through brute force or electronic warfare, but through fundamental manipulations of spacetime itself. "Your empire expanded through fear and intimidation," Chen continued. "We chose a different path. While you were perfecting ways to subjugate other species, we focused on understanding the deeper principles of the universe. Your technology is impressive, High Commander, but it's built on a limited understanding of reality." Dr. Patel pulled up a holographic display showing the principles behind humanity's quantum manipulation technology. "We could share this knowledge with you," she offered. "We've learned that the universe is far more interesting when explored through cooperation rather than conquest." Vextal's form pulsed with rapid patterns of color as he processed this complete reversal of everything he had believed about humanity. His empire had never encountered a species that had so thoroughly outmaneuvered them, not just militarily but intellectually. Why? He finally asked. If you possessed such power, why maintain the deception? Why not simply reveal yourselves and demand our submission? Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. Because we're not like you, High Commander. We don't believe in empire building through force. We wanted to understand you, to learn if peaceful coexistence was possible. This demonstration isn't meant as a threat, but as an invitation to change. She gestured to the holographic displays showing the true extent of human civilization throughout the solar system. Your empire stands at a crossroads, High Commander. You can either adapt to a new reality where cooperation trumps conquest, or cling to old ways that will inevitably lead to your obsolescence. As if to emphasize her point, a group of human ships performed a series of maneuvers that seemed to bend space itself, demonstrating capabilities that the Nexari had thought theoretically impossible. The choice, Chen concluded, is yours. But know this, humanity will not be conquered, subjugated, or intimidated. We're offering you a chance to be part of something greater than an empire. We're offering you evolution. Vextal stood silent, his crystalline form reflecting the light of Earth's sun, as he faced the most important decision in his empire's history. The age of Nexari dominance was over, but perhaps something better could take its place. Diplomatic shadows. The Grand Council chamber aboard the Nexari diplomatic vessel Crystal Ascendant hummed with tension. 3 weeks had passed since humanity's revelation, and the initial shock had given way to something more complex. High Commander Vextal stood before the assembled representatives of both species, his crystalline form carefully maintained in neutral patterns despite the storm of emotions beneath. The terms you propose are unprecedented, he stated, addressing the human delegation. Admiral Chen sat opposite him, flanked by Dr. Maya Patel and the newly introduced Ambassador Marcus Zhang, Earth's foremost expert in xenopolitics. They're meant to be, Ambassador Zhang replied, his calm voice carrying through the chamber. We're not interested in your surrender or submission. We're proposing a genuine partnership, but one that requires significant changes from both our civilizations. The holographic displays between them showed the proposed treaty terms. The Nexari Empire would halt all forced expansions and grant autonomy to its subject worlds. In exchange, humanity would share portions of their advanced technology, not weapons, but innovations in energy production, medicine, and space travel. Many in our empire see this as capitulation, Second Commander Ixis interjected, her crystalline form flashing patterns of frustration. You demonstrate superior force, then demand we abandon our way of life? Dr. Patel leaned forward, her dark eyes intense. With respect, Commander, we're offering you something far more valuable than conquest. The scientific principles we're willing to share could transform your society. Imagine what your people could achieve if they directed their resources toward exploration rather than expansion. As if to emphasize her point, she activated a small device on the table. The air above it shimmered, and a miniature star system appeared, its planets orbiting in perfect detail. This isn't a hologram, she explained. It's a quantum replica, a perfect, microscale reproduction of an actual star system. This technology alone could revolutionize your astronomical research. The Nexari scientists present couldn't hide their fascination, their forms pulsing with patterns of wonder. But the military commanders remained skeptical. And what guarantee do we have, Vextal asked, that once we begin this transformation, you won't use your superior position to impose your will upon us? Admiral Chen stood, walking to the chamber's viewport. Earth was visible in the distance, a blue jewel among the stars. 3 days ago, we detected a Nexari battle fleet assembling at the Empire's outer territories. 200 ships, including your newest dreadnoughts. By your treaties, such a force can only be assembled with direct authorization from your Imperial Council. The Nexari representatives stiffened, their forms displaying patterns of alarm. This was supposed to be a secret deployment. We could have destroyed that fleet the moment it formed, Chen continued. Instead, we're sitting here, talking. That's your guarantee, High Commander. We've had the power to cripple your empire for weeks, yet we choose diplomacy. Ambassador Zhang smoothly interjected, however, let's be clear, this choice for peace doesn't indicate weakness. Perhaps a demonstration would help illustrate this point? At his nod, Dr. Patel activated another device. Throughout the chamber, quantum sensors detected a massive energy surge from Earth's direction. Suddenly, a human vessel appeared beside the diplomatic ship, not through conventional FTL travel, but through what appeared to be a controlled manipulation of spacetime itself. That ship, Patel explained, didn't move through space to get here. It redirected space to move around it. This is just one of countless principles we've discovered by pursuing understanding rather than power. The Nexari military commanders exchanged urgent communications through their crystalline network. Their sensors confirmed it, there had been no warning, no detection possible. A hostile force with such capabilities could strike anywhere in their empire without warning. But more importantly, Chen added, noting their reaction, consider what this technology could mean for exploration. Your empire could reach galaxies you've never dreamed of studying. Your scientists could unravel mysteries of the universe that your current understanding can't even conceive. Vextal's form shifted through complex patterns as he processed this. And what do humans gain from this arrangement? Surely you don't offer such knowledge freely? Ambassador Zhang smiled slightly. We gain partners rather than adversaries. We gain the opportunity to learn from your species' experiences and insights. And most importantly, we gain the chance to help shape a more cooperative galaxy. A junior Nexari scientist, unable to contain her curiosity any longer, burst out, but how? How did your species advance so far without detection? Our observation protocols were based on assumptions, Dr. Patel finished. You assumed any advanced civilization would display certain signs, follow certain patterns. We simply stepped outside those patterns. While you watched our rockets, our quantum research proceeded in underground facilities. While you monitored our radio waves, we were developing entirely new forms of communication. In other words, Chen concluded, we advanced not in spite of your observation, but because of it. Your presence motivated us to think differently, to find paths you wouldn't expect. Now we're offering you the same opportunity, the chance to break free from established patterns and explore new possibilities. The chamber fell silent as the Nexari delegation processed this. Their empire stood at a crossroads, faced with a choice between clinging to the familiar patterns of conquest or embracing an uncertain but potentially revolutionary future. Battle of Broken Pride. The Imperial Nexari dreadnought Eternal Dominion dropped out of FTL at the head of the largest fleet assembled in the Empire's history. Supreme Admiral Kex Ree, his crystalline form radiating patterns of grim determination, surveyed the tactical display. 500 capital ships, 2,000 destroyers, and countless support vessels, nearly half the Empire's total military strength. The reformist traitors have already transmitted our approach to the humans, his tactical officer reported. High Commander Vextal begs us to reconsider. Vextal is a coward, Kex Ree responded. He would have us surrender our destiny to these upstart primitives. The Imperial Council may waver, but we will show the galaxy that the Nexari Empire does not bow. On Earth's Quantum Command Center, Admiral Chen watched the massive fleet's approach with a mixture of sadness and resignation. They really mean to do this, she murmured. The progressive faction led by Vextal tried to stop them, Ambassador Zhang reported, his hologram flickering beside her. But generations of imperial pride aren't easily overcome. They've convinced themselves that our earlier demonstrations were tricks or exaggerations. Status of the civilian evacuation? Chen asked, turning to Captain Rodriguez. All Nexari diplomatic personnel and progressive faction members have been safely transferred to the quantum shelters. The civilian population remains unaware of any danger, as requested. Chen nodded. Their response had been planned since the first signs of the hardliner faction's rebellion. Deploy the defense grid, but maintain minimal presence. Let's give them one last chance to reconsider. The Nexari fleet advanced into the solar system, weapons charged. To their sensors, Earth appeared virtually defenseless. A few orbital platforms, a handful of visible ships, nothing that could hope to stand against their armada. Supreme Admiral, the science officer reported, I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations throughout the system, similar to the patterns from their earlier demonstrations. Tricks and illusions, Kexri dismissed. Begin the attack pattern. Show these humans the true might of the Empire. The Nexari fleet launched their first volley, a massive barrage of energy weapons and quantum torpedoes that lit up space like an artificial sun. The shots approached Earth's apparently minimal defenses. And vanished. Not blocked, not absorbed, simply ceased to exist as though they'd never been fired. Impossible. Kexri's tactical officer exclaimed. The energy readings, they just stopped existing. Supreme Admiral, Dr. Maya Patel's voice came through on all frequencies, your weapons didn't disappear. We redirected their quantum signatures into a parallel probability space. Would you like to see where they went? Suddenly, the entire Nexari fleet sensors detected their own weapon signatures appearing light-years away, safely dissipating in empty space. That's just the beginning, Admiral Chen's voice joined in. Please observe. Space itself seemed to ripple around the Nexari fleet. Ships that had been thousands of kilometers apart found themselves suddenly clustered together, their carefully planned formation compressed into a sphere barely 100 kilometers wide. We've modified the quantum geometry of this region of space, Patel explained. Your ships aren't moving, space itself is. You'll find your engines are now operating at minimal efficiency due to the altered physical constants in your vicinity. Kexri's form pulsed with patterns of rage and disbelief. Open fire. All weapons. Show them the true power of. His words cut off as every ship in his fleet simultaneously lost power. Not through any apparent attack, their quantum cores simply stopped functioning. We've temporarily adjusted the underlying quantum field parameters in your vicinity, Patel continued, her voice gentle despite the devastating display of power. Your technology relies on certain assumptions about how reality works. We've simply changed those rules within this localized space. Around the compressed Nexari fleet, human ships finally began appearing. Not the handful they detected earlier, but thousands of vessels, each demonstrating technological principles that defied the Empire's understanding of physics. You've lost, Supreme Admiral, Chen said firmly. But this defeat doesn't have to mean the end of your civilization. As we speak, the progressive faction under Vextal is implementing the reforms we discussed. Worlds under Imperial control are being given autonomy. Your people are beginning to explore new possibilities beyond conquest. Inside the Eternal Dominion's command center, Kexri watched as his mighty fleet hung powerless in space, compressed into a helpless cluster by forces he couldn't begin to comprehend. His tactical officers reported that the human ships weren't even targeting them with weapons, they didn't need to. Here is our offer, Ambassador Zhang's voice came through clear and calm. Power will be restored to your ships. You will be given safe passage to return to Imperial space. Your crews will be unharmed. In exchange, you will witness what your empire can become if you choose to evolve beyond the need for conquest. The quantum displays in Kexri's command center activated, showing images from across the empire. Worlds where Nexari scientists were already beginning to experiment with human principles of quantum manipulation. Former subject species working alongside Nexari researchers, combining their unique perspectives to explore new possibilities. The choice, as always, Chen concluded, remains yours. But know that the age of imperial conquest is over. You can be part of what comes next, or you can fade into history. We sincerely hope you choose the former." In the silence that followed, Supreme Admiral Kexri's crystalline form shifted through patterns of emotion that had no precedent in Nexari history. Pride warred with wonder, anger with curiosity, until finally settling into something new, acceptance. New Dawn. 5 years after the Battle of Broken Pride, the Joint Human Nexari Research Center on Mars hosted an unprecedented gathering. In the vast quantum-enabled chamber, crystalline forms of Nexari scientists moved alongside their human counterparts, their surfaces flickering with patterns of excitement that no longer needed translation devices to be understood. Admiral Sarah Chen, now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, stood beside High Commander Vextel, watching a demonstration that would have been impossible just a few years ago. In the center of the chamber, Dr. Maya Patel and senior researcher Zixera, their unlikely partnership now legendary across 2 civilizations, were unveiling their latest breakthrough. "The quantum consciousness interface is stable," Zixera announced, her crystalline form radiating patterns of pride. "For the first time, we can directly share thoughts, memories, and experiences across our different biologies." Dr. Patel nodded, adjusting the sleek device connecting her neural patterns to Zixera's crystalline matrix. "The applications go far beyond simple communication. We're talking about the ability to truly understand each other at the deepest level. Imagine," Vextal mused, his form showing patterns that would have once been considered dangerously emotional for a military commander, "if we had possessed this technology during our first encounter. How much fear and misunderstanding might have been avoided." "Perhaps we needed that journey," Chen replied thoughtfully. "Our species had to learn to trust each other before we could achieve this level of connection." Around them, the research center hummed with activity. Former Nexari warships, their weapons replaced with scientific instruments, docked alongside human vessels in the massive quantum-shielded bays. Teams of researchers from both species, along with representatives from formerly subjugated worlds, collaborated on projects that pushed the boundaries of known science. Report from the Arcturus expedition, Captain Rodriguez, now fleet commander of the Joint Exploration Force, announced as he entered the chamber. "The quantum spacefolding drive performed perfectly. They've mapped 3 new galaxies in the past month alone." Supreme Admiral Kexri, who had once led the last desperate charge against Earth, now coordinated these exploration missions. His transformation from hardline Imperial commander to enthusiastic explorer had become a symbol of the change possible between their species. "The Imperial Council's final vote is in," Ambassador Zhang's hologram appeared, his expression satisfied. "The last vestiges of the old empire have been officially dissolved. The Galactic Cooperative is now the recognized governing body for all member species." Chen smiled, remembering the long negotiations that had led to this moment. The cooperative wasn't just an alliance between humans and Nexari, it included all the species that had once been part of the Empire, each now contributing their unique perspectives and capabilities to their shared future. "There are still challenges," Vextal noted, his patterns showing thoughtful concern. "Some of our people struggle with the pace of change. And we've detected signals from other empires at the galaxy's edge, some possibly as advanced as we once thought ourselves to be. That's why what we're building here is so important," Chen replied. "We're not just advancing technology, we're creating a new way for species to interact. When those empires eventually reach us, they'll find something very different from what we once were." Dr. Patel and Zixera's demonstration continued, showing how the quantum consciousness interface could be adapted for different species. The technology was a perfect symbol of their new civilization, born from the combination of human innovation and Nexari crystalline engineering, yet becoming something greater than either could have achieved alone. "To think," Zixera mused, her patterns showing amusement, "we once thought we were coming to uplift a primitive species. Instead, you showed us how much we had yet to learn. And you showed us perspectives we never could have imagined," Patel responded. "The real breakthrough wasn't in technology, it was in learning to see through each other's eyes. As if to emphasize her point, the quantum displays showed live feeds from across their shared space. Former imperial worlds flourished under self-governance, their unique cultures enriching the cooperative. Research outposts pushed the boundaries of exploration, not for conquest but for knowledge. And in schools across human and Nexari space, young members of both species learned each other's ways as naturally as their own. The question was never about who was more advanced, Chen reflected, watching a group of human and Nexari children experimenting with a quantum physics demonstration. It was about who was wise enough to choose cooperation over conflict. And brave enough to trust in the unknown, Vextal added, his form displaying patterns of optimism that would have once been considered unseemly for a high commander. Above them, through the transparent quantum-reinforced dome, Earth and Mars hung in the sky like beacons of possibility. Ships of human, Nexari, and cooperative design moved between them, their paths painting a web of connection against the star-filled backdrop. It was a new dawn for both civilizations, and the galaxy itself seemed brighter for it.